Well, hey guys, welcome to FandomWire's Inside Fandom. This is a podcast where we break things down for you, like news and discussions and all sorts of fun debates. Uh, we have quite a show today. A lot of news this week. We have Wonder Woman 1984 releasing on HBO Max. We have the first Chaos Walking trailer. We have a new Snyder Cut trailer. A lot of cool stuff that we're going to talk about. Join us, invite your friends, share this. Let's get started. All right, so
First
we
one.
got today with us Joshua Ryan and Matt Hambridge. You probably recognize Josh from his video. I think you had one come out today on FandomWire, so check that out too.
hmm
So I'm gonna go to you, Josh. We have some topics. What do we have first?
We are doing the Chaos Walking trailer, the new trailer that just came out. That's what we were going to talk about first.
All right. So
I think it looks,
Chaos Walking. Go
yeah, I
ahead.
think it looks okay, but I don't have a whole lot of faith in it from what we've heard the audience kind of pre-shows where they've showed them to the audience. They have not given good feedback. It's been really negative so far, and they had to do a whole bunch of reshoots, which is why it's been delayed as long as it has. So it's just not off to a great start, I don't think.
Yeah, based on all the behind the scenes stuff, I thought the first footage would look terrible, to be honest. So seeing what we saw today was actually a nice little surprise.
Yeah.
My big worry, though, with having their thoughts constantly being spoken aloud, how that's going to translate to an audio experience. Because even in the trailer, a lot of those parts were jumbled, hard to understand, kind of a
Yeah.
mess. So to see that play out through a full movie is concerning, at least to start, but seems like it could be okay based off the first trailer, I thought.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
It's hit or miss with these young teen, book adaptations.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was intrigued. I don't know anything about this book or property. I was intrigued. I mean, I agree with you. The audio, it was hard to understand, and I feel like it's gonna become too much of a shtick that they come back to, like as a comedic thing that I'm
Right.
worried about. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, or a convenient plot device to
or like all
reveal
the
information.
Yeah, or like I was when I saw, realized, oh, that's what they were doing. I was like, okay, all the men's thoughts are out there, and there's a first woman. There's gonna be some jokes there. You can
Yeah.
draw
Mhm.
your own conclusions. There are gonna be some jokes there. I'm like, is that gonna get old? Probably. And I'm like, that's my concern about it. Like,
Right. Yeah.
are they gonna draw from the well too many times? Would try to either do jokes or reveal plot points. Like I'm concerned, but I like Tom Holland and I like Daisy Ridley, so we'll see how it goes.
And Mads
Yeah. The
Mikkelsen,
cast
can't
is
go wrong
good.
with him.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's great. So yeah, I'm interested to say the least. But all right. So what do we have next?
Next thing, we were going to take a look at this new Snyder Cut trailer that got released.
Yeah. So Matt, what do you think?
I'm honestly I'm kind of over the Snyder Cut whole thing right now. I hope it's good. I love comic book movies. Obviously, I want more
Sure.
good content, but it's been kind of a saga, and I just kind of want to see it and what comes of it. Um, so I mean, I thought it looked fine. I didn't really hate or love the original Justice League version. I thought it was fine, and I really don't know how this one will be that different. I guess time will tell. But honestly, I wish they would have given that money to new projects. I think they spent 70 million on
Yeah.
reshoots. That's one or two small budget movies that a first time filmmaker could have could have gotten put out. So I would have rather seen it go that direction, but we'll see what comes, and I'll watch it absolutely 100%.
See, now I hated the theatrical Justice League. I really hated it. And I'll be the first to admit, I was one of those people who, every time someone was like, release the Snyder Cut, I was like shutting them down saying, it's not going to happen. Like this fantasy that you have. So yeah, I'll eat my words on that. I was wrong. And now I'm really eager to see it. Because even if it's bad, like you said, it has been built up so much. And it's been this huge saga that now I've got to see how it turns out. But I'm kind of with you, how I'm like over it. The trailer to me didn't necessarily get me excited. It seemed like, more of Snyder's kind of thing, the slow hallelujah song, and it's just kind of melodramatic and a little pretentious, but I'm excited to see it regardless.
Yeah, I mean, for the trailer, it wasn't a great trailer, I'm going to be honest. It wasn't a great trailer. I'm excited for the movie. I want to see what would have been different versus what we got, because what we got was a mess, to say the least. But the whole black and white thing, I thought was a mistake. I was like, why not just show it in color?
Well, didn't he say that his ideal version would be black and white?
Which is stupid. That's stupid.
Going back to Josh, when you said pretentious, I mean that screams pretentious.
Yeah, and I like Snyder. Like, I like Watchmen. I like 300. I even have grown to like BVS. I have, and I love Man of Steel. I'm one of those people. I love Man of Steel. But come on, dude.
I don't hate Snyder. I really do like Watchmen, and I really enjoyed his Dawn of the Dead remake. Those are like my top two for him. But he's hit or miss with the stuff, and a lot of it is style over substance, and pushing his metaphors and symbolism, that take away from the story.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were a couple. I mean, that's the other thing too that I forgot to mention was the trailer was basically the same trailer we already got.
That's what I thought. I didn't really see anything new.
There was like maybe 30 seconds extra. Maybe I'd have to check that, but it's basically the same. But
and I gotta say, all the hype up for how he's gonna make the villains are gonna look so great. Steppenwolf doesn't look very good. They just put a bunch more spikes on him. Like, he doesn't look very good to me. I know he's not finished yet, but it doesn't seem like he's taking him in some direction that's gonna be something all that different or fantastic.
Yeah, I guess time will tell, but as far as the villain goes, I'm kind of with you there. It's it's another CGI villain. It's like they can only do so much with that, but we'll see what the finished product looks like.
To pull up a comment quick, Zachary says, I'm hyped for Martian Manhunter finally shown. That's a good point, is that we'll get our first look at Martian Manhunter. That would have been cool to see. So we'll finally see it. They didn't show that in the trailer, but it was cool to see like the black suit Superman and stuff like that. That was cool, but I think it would have had more impact if it wasn't black and white. I really do. I think if it was color and you showed those extra shots that were not in the other trailer, I think it would have had a little bit more of an impact. But
I agree.
I don't know. Hey, we get a lot of crap for saying that it wasn't coming out. I mean, everybody does. Everybody said it wasn't coming out. But we get a lot of crap for saying, even though our sources were actually correct. I want to point that out quick. Our sources were actually correct. The people at WB did not want the Snyder Cut. It was the AT&T people that came in and said, we'll take it. We'll take it. But anyway, all right, well, let's go on to the next topic.
This one's a little more colorful and fun. This is the Tom and Jerry trailer. Quite a big difference from the Snyder Cut trailer, but I mean, it's hard to critique this trailer. It's geared for kids. I remember actually seeing the first Tom and Jerry movie in theaters when I was a kid, the full cartoon one. So it's kind of fun to see that it's going back. And one thing that I do like is that they're going cartoony for Tom and Jerry, that they're not doing realistic CGI. They look like old school cartoons, and having them interact with real life people, almost like, Who Framed Roger Rabbit and that style of thing. I really do like that. I think that's a good choice.
Yeah, Joshua, that was exactly my point. That if you think back to maybe The Lion King, and it looks great as a technological achievement, but from a movie standpoint, you lose all the emotion, you lose kind of the fun you can have with the characters, and the uncanny valley. How many times did we hear that phrase around that movie? But going full cartoon, there's a lot more flexibility, a lot more fun they can have with Tom and Jerry and kind of the world they inhabit. And there are other animals too. I think, was there an elephant in the trailer? I think that was full cartoon. So they're gonna have some fun with it, which I think you have to do for a movie like this. You really can't take yourself too seriously on a Tom and Jerry movie. So it's like you said, it's kind of geared towards kids. I'm sure I'll see it, and I'll probably have an okay time with it. But it kind of is what it is. It seems like.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure what to expect from it because I heard it was like half live action, half cartoon. Well, it's mostly live action. Let's be real. But I thought, oh, this could be fun. I liked it. I liked Tom and Jerry as a kid. I watched. It had these little adventures that were kind of cool. But the trailer was okay. I thought some of the jokes got old. Like they literally showed Tom. Tom's the cat, right?
Yeah.
I forget. Tom. Tom. They showed Tom falling off a building like 3 times in the trailer, and I'm like, okay, that's the same joke that you just did. Like
The old school cartoon shticks, man.
But
Go with what works.
they never show it.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. They don't usually use it in the same episode. Like in the trailer, they're showing you 3 times. Like that, I think, was where I thought the negative of the trailer was. Because they definitely overused some stuff. But, I was expecting a whole lot, so.
Right. It's Tom and Jerry, so.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're really going towards the kids, if they think
they are
6-year-olds are going to laugh at a cat falling off a building 6 times in a movie, they're probably going to do it.
But I liked some of the actors in it. The one actress, what's her name?
Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yes. Yeah. She was good in it. I thought there was a good comedic moment. It'll be interesting. I think it'll be interesting. I'm not expecting a lot from it, but if you want a nice, fluffy, just kind of turn your brain off and watch this dumb movie, I think that'll be perfect for it.
Should fit the bill for that.
Yeah. All right. So what is our next topic?
All right. Next, we were going to be talking about Creed 2's director, Stephen Caple Jr. is supposed to be working on heading a new Transformers movie.
Did we skip Wonder Woman?
Let's go back to Wonder Woman.
Oh, sorry, guys. We have a list of this is our first episode, so bear with us. We have a list of all topics that week. I had to find my graphic.
Sorry, let's.
Here it is. There it is. Okay, Wonder Woman. So we'll talk about the Creed 2 thing in a bit. So Wonder Woman 1984 is coming out in theaters and on HBO Max on Christmas Day.
Right.
That was shocking for all of us because they were saying forever, no, we're not putting this on HBO Max. That's what we heard.
Right.
We heard this is going to be, no, this is in theaters, which they are putting in theaters. And we'll talk about that in a second. But we thought, oh, they're just going to push this to the summer, or I honestly thought we would get to see this movie for forever.
A long time,
yeah. So I thought, oh, I was shocked when I heard it just before it broke And I at first I thought, no, that must have been that they must have heard that wrong. That's not happening. And then I heard somebody else. I'm like, oh, and you brought it up, Matt, and I thought, wait a minute, what's going on? So yeah, they are doing it. They're releasing it. I'm shocked. I'm shocked, and this has
Yeah,
major ramifications.
exactly.
Uh,
And that's why I have mixed feelings. I'm excited because I have HBO Max, and I'm excited that I get to watch Wonder Woman. I've been wanting to see this one, and same as you, I thought
right.
I'm not going to see it for a long time. It's going to keep getting pushed back, pushed back. But like you said, the ramifications. This is a huge movie. This is one of their tentpole movies. They were spent a bunch of money on and planned on making a bunch of money on. And if they're making the decision to put it on the streaming service, it's a really bad sign for the theatrical going movie experience in the future.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's just
Matt, what do you think?
so many layers to these kind of decisions. HBO Max, for anyone who has it, it's a great service. I personally love it. The content is good. It's easy to use, but they bungled the launch so badly with the confusion over who has it, who has to pay for it, who gets upgraded automatically, HBO Now versus HBO Go versus HBO the channel, what
Right.
devices you can even have it on, that they maybe lost out on a bunch of subscribers at the launch point. And if they're
Yeah.
looking for a way to really boost those numbers, putting a big movie like this is maybe a way to go and take the money in the short term versus,
Right.
I mean, obviously the COVID and vaccine and all of that is going to play a part in theaters down the road, but there's still so much uncertainty there that they maybe took the sure thing, saying, let's get this out, get some more subscribers to the streaming service. This is what our future is. This will draw people in, rather than, it's risk reward. Yeah, if it comes out in next June and everything's A-okay, it could be $1 billion, but maybe they'd keep pushing it back, and a year from now they still wouldn't have released it. So I don't envy the people making those decisions, not one bit. At some point, they just have to make the decision whether to cut the losses and take what they could get.
Yeah, this was a tough decision for them because every month they wait, these movies are not made with cash on hand. They're made with borrowed money. So every month they wait, they have to pay back with interest on the money they borrowed to make this movie. And
Yeah.
when they borrowed money, they had no idea COVID was happening or
Oh yeah. And
yeah,
there were
they
so many big movies just about to release. Quiet
yes.
Place 2 was like a week away from its release date.
Yeah.
Yep,
I mean
Fast 9 was right there as well.
yeah, I
I
mean
mean, a
Quiet
bunch of
Place
movies.
James
Quiet
Bond.
Place 2 A Quiet Place 2 honestly should just drop on streaming. That's one that
Yeah, it's been a long time now.
yeah. I mean, and that's one that you don't need to see. I mean, it'd be cool to see on the big screen. You don't need to see it. But you could put it on your living room with the lights out and try to watch it. But with Wonder Woman, I'm gonna try to see it at the
Right.
theater. There was a tweet by Patty Jenkins, the director, said that you can rent out a theater for your family and friends. So I'm gonna look into that. I know some theaters have it where it's like $99. I think
Right.
AMC had a deal like that. Now Regal is closed, so
Mm-hmm.
that's basically what I have around me is Regal. So I
Same
don't know
here.
what.
All I have are Regals in my
Yeah,
entire county, in the neighboring county, so I'm kind
yeah.
of out of luck.
So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I don't. There's probably some theater or some deal they're gonna work at. I don't know how they're gonna do it. But worst comes worst, I'll put on HBO Max and have a few friends over and we'll watch
Yeah.
it. But
Mhm.
I mean, the sad part about this is what we just alluded to earlier is the destruction and decline of the movie theater.
Right.
It's almost inevitable at this point. I mean, everyone thought it was inevitable before, but last year we had the biggest box office in history.
Mhm.
This year, de- I mean, just desecrated a lot of businesses.
Now, I was able to
And
catch Tenet when they released it right before Regal closed
yeah,
down and everything closed down. I caught that here. I was the only one in the theater.
yeah,
But it didn't do good at all, with the release that it had because nobody's going. There's no other movies to draw them. And there's only one movie in the theater,
yeah,
Yeah,
and
I think
you did it
Tenet was
for
wasn't the best choice to kind of test the theaters at the time.
Mm-hmm.
A movie like Wonder Woman would have been a really good test of
yes,
how the
Right,
public felt
yes,
about going to the actual theater, because that's got a
right,
huge breadth of people interested in going to see it, much more than Tenet, where Nolan fans and maybe the more, I guess if you will, hardcore movie fans were gearing up to see that one right away. I was
right,
able to catch it in the theaters as well. But Wonder Woman, that's going to be the movie that people who maybe go to the theater a handful of times per year are going to go to. You get
yeah.
the casual fan, the average moviegoer.
right.
So
I
I
mean,
think
Yes,
the
definitely
big
more
budget movie,
mainstream.
yeah, you need the mainstream movie to really test how the public feels about it. But then at the same time, not that we want to get into the whole COVID part of it at all, but there's could be the ethical considerations. It's, do you want to put out a movie that's going to encourage people to maybe
yeah,
go do something that isn't maybe the safest thing to do? So I mean, there's just so
Right.
much to go into the decisions like this specifically, that it's going to be interesting to see what happens next year specifically, but maybe 2022, maybe the first real indication, as thing that we have cycle through and then start fresh with a new year of everything back to normal, ideally, and we'll see where movies stand at that point.
yeah. I
Right.
mean, I think this is definitely there are definitely things they had to consider because the movie could have been a $1.5 billion movie. I mean, they're really tossing a lot of money away. But again, they also are owing interest on the movie, and they're probably hoping that they get a big chunk of subscribers.
Right.
I really am fearful for what the movie landscape is going to look like in the years to come. Because what we see, even on Disney Plus, it has 73 million subscribers. And what do we really have on there?
Right.
Mandalorian. We have, a catalog, of older movies and shows from, Disney Channel and stuff like that. Like,
Right.
we don't we don't really have a ton of stuff on there and part of that's COVID, but it
One of our
seems
sorry
yeah,
to interrupt. One of
but
our fans here brought up a good point. I don't know. Are you able to get it to come over? My
oh
thing doesn't about
outdoor screens, is that what you is that
yeah,
what the
setting
one
up outdoor screens. I actually have a drive-in theater not that far from me.
okay,
That's up and running, and I love using it. But since the new movies aren't getting released, I still can't go see them there. They're playing a lot of
right,
older movies that trying to stay open and stay afloat. But yeah, drive-through movies. This is like a perfect time for a drive-through
yeah,
movie.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been to one in a long time. I'd try to go see it again. I think the way movie theaters are going to go, and I said this years ago, it was inevitable. But then we saw, box office really go back up, but I think movie theaters are going to go the way of the drive-ins, where you're
Yeah,
going to have a sprinkle here and there. I think the best thing the theaters can do, and maybe we'll make this a topic next week, of what can the theaters do to stay in business. But one thing is lowering the amount of theaters in their building because they aren't going to be able to do it. Now, right now, that doesn't help them, but in the future, they're only going to attract big blockbusters. They're not going to be able to show like small comedies, or I just don't think people are going to go, especially with
Right.
everything dropping on streaming. Like people are expecting. I saw on Twitter, of course it's Twitter, but still, people demanding Disney release Black Widow on Disney Plus, and like demanding it, like they're expecting that
Right.
we can see it on streaming because that's how everything is going now with Wonder Woman. It's making people think, oh, everything should just go on, everything should just be on streaming. Why should I have to go to the theater to see it? And it's like because that's the only way they survive.
Yeah, and I mean every company's probably in different financial situations that has to play a part in it too.
Yeah.
You know, if Disney is flush with cash, they're not going to be as urged to release something on streaming, which is not the optimal choice for them.
Right.
Whereas if Warner Bros. For whatever reason, whether movies or other areas of the business needs money now, that could have motivated them as well. They haven't said anything that confirms that, but you know, cash considerations have to play a part in how long they can wait, or if they want to wait, they want to release it on streaming. I'm sure Disney has an end date where eventually they'd say,
yes,
this is enough. We're going to put it on Disney Plus, whether it's for the $30 premium or not. But you know, they seem a little more equipped to kind of just hunker down and sit through this a little more than maybe some of the other studios do.
Well, and I think it has to also do with the history of the last couple of years. With every Disney movie last year broke $1 billion. Every single one they released. So listen, and I talked to people at Disney. They want the movie theater experience because they know they're going to make $1 billion every movie, or at least close to it, because that's the track record. They think they put out a Black Widow, it makes $1 billion, which it probably won't. Maybe not $1 billion, but it's close.
It'd be up there.
I mean,
Spider-Man 3 would make $1 billion if it hit theaters.
Easily.
Easily. Especially with Toby in there, and we got Andrew Garfield coming in there. It's gonna be.
That'd be one of their biggest money makers.
Yeah, and so Sony was smart to move it. They moved it. Same with Venom 2. Those movies, they should not put on stream unless it's like, I don't know how you do it. They should not put on streaming because they would lose potentially $2 million. I mean, with Black Widow, I think I think will have a date, like you said, have a date where they'll eventually release it. But Black Widow's one where I think they should experiment. Milan was not the one to experiment with because nobody.
Especially not with that price tag on it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that was a disaster.
That was so, and they lost so much. What a lot of people did not do it for good reason. Because
the big thing is they said they were going to put it on the streaming service for free.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, anyways.
Right. Well, that leaked, and they were not. I spoke to you. They were not happy about that. They were not happy it leaked.
At first, I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it. I got my family. Yeah. We could all watch it." And then I was like, "Well,
exactly.
It's free for months, I
yeah.
a couple."
Yeah, but even it's almost better that it leaked though, because if that had been kept private like they wanted it to, a bunch of people are paying $30, and then 2 months later they found out they could have watched it for free. Well, that might have even caused more backlash than having that leak.
Then they would have already got the money out. See that's where they're desperate. I mean, as much as we like say, oh, Disney is rich, Disney, they are cash strapped because they just bought Fox for 70-something billion. They are not doing as well as we perceive them to be. Not that they're doing badly, but they have a lot of interest payments to pay, they have a lot of costs. So,
yeah.
I don't know what to do with Black Widow, but Wonder Woman does get emboldened a lot of studios, even in Disney, to be like, maybe we should just release it, either do premium VOD or put it on our streaming service. I mean, HBO Max needed the help, so it does make some sense that they would do it for this, but I just don't know. It's sad to see because I worry that it's gonna be like we're only gonna get 3 big movies a year for these studios on their streaming services
Right. Yeah.
versus like because we have like the Mandalorian, right? That's it. That's all we got, and on Disney Plus, and we
Mhm.
got a few other small things that, but look at Netflix. I mean, they put out so much crap content. Just
Yeah.
like they just like make 10 movies a month or something, and they just put it out there, and it becomes a catalog game, not a quality game. Not like so the theaters go away, which I think we can see it happening, especially with this pandemic, but I think people are getting used to the idea of just staying home and not watching it at the theater, unless it's like a really big, unless like an Endgame or a Star Wars movie, people
Yeah.
are not going to go.
But
So
another thing, oh, sorry.
go ahead.
No, another thing to think about is you almost kind of have to just throw this year out in terms of what's going to happen with theaters
Yeah,
because they've got planned releases coming up for the next however many years. There's only so many release dates, some that they have for their other movies. They don't want to compete with themselves. They probably don't want to compete with the Fast Nines of the world, the whatever the next DC movies would be. Warner Brothers doesn't want to compete with Spider-Man 3. So there's all of those considerations to say, how do we get out what we have now to not mess up our next 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line?
yeah,
And it's almost like a content dump in a sense that
yeah,
they want to hang on, but at some point they need to preserve the future of the company and their future products, future content. And there's fine lines there, I'm sure, with who's ever making those decisions as to what movies do they have planned for 2021 that can get pushed back to 2022. If there's continuity with Black Widow or Wonder Woman and future movies, how did that affect those franchises? So I think 2021 and 2022 are going to be much clearer indicators of the future. I do think theaters are, like you've been saying, are maybe on the way out, but I think the
unfortunate.
next couple of years are probably going to be a better indicator of how soon that's going to happen than maybe what's happening these last couple months of the year and the first couple months of next year.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, we shouldn't panic over this. You're right. We shouldn't panic over this. I think it right now we're in a phase where it's different. This year is not a normal year. We may get back to it. I, like I said, I think only what will happen is only the major blockbusters will be in theater. Like the way we saw it recently with Disney reorganizing their company to where they have a new branch that basically decides what goes to theaters and what goes to streaming. And I think they realize that streaming is, even though they don't like this, Disney doesn't like this, but they know streaming is the future. And it's unfortunate because they put out a movie, they get $1 billion, and then they put it out later on streaming and home video, and they get another, revenue stream there.
Yeah.
Where if you're
Mm-hmm.
cutting the theaters out, they're really cutting out about 80% of what a movie makes, and
Right.
so they're having to figure out how to plan for this year. If it has done anything, it showed them how much they need to plan for if the theaters are not there. Because if theaters are not there, we may not get an Endgame or a $300 million movie, which sucks. It
Right.
does.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
but we might only get one of those a year, or something like that. They'll probably still do them, but they'll be less, which sucks. Because we were getting what, 3 Marvel movies a year, and then there was like chatter that it might have been 4. They were going to move it to 4 movies a year from just Marvel Studios. So I don't know where that would go. But the other thing to bring up that I think is important that a lot of people are talking about is how they were able to convince the theater chains to go along with the HBO Max and being in the theater. Because
Yeah.
I know that it's something I had it on the docket for us to talk about, but then I removed it because I just thought it just we could talk about Wonder Woman was the Cinemark deal with Universal, which is something where it shortens the theatrical window. Now there's a lot more to it, but we won't get into it. But basically, this shortens the theatrical window to 0 days. I mean, it's in theaters and it's on HBO Max. Now,
Right.
in other countries, it will release a week before, which
Mhm.
is unfortunate because spoilers are going to get out there. So we're going to have to be careful of that here in the western part of the world. But in other countries, it's going to be out there and it's going to be pirated. There's probably going to be gifts. I was spoiled with Endgame. I saw the gif of Thanos being dusted away
Oh no.
before I went to before I went right. It sucked. So
Yeah.
I hate when they do this because I think everybody should feel seen at the same time. The reason they do it is to attract buzz for the
Right.
American market, which makes sense. But like I don't think this really needed the buzz. I think people are excited about this. I mean everyone has been talking about how it's gonna be on HBO Max and I mean it's some big news. I think now I saw some people say, well, we don't have HBO Max in other countries. Like there are other countries that don't, like Canada, for instance, apparently doesn't
Mhm.
have HBO Max, which I think is ridiculous and stupid. Like, why would they release it? It can't. I mean, I understand not releasing it in some countries because language and they have to translate everything. Sure, but Canada, come on, Canada. It's like it's right there. So
It'll probably
that,
get there eventually.
yeah, it will. I mean, just like
Yeah, I don't
Disney
know
Plus,
all
I
the
don't think.
details on that and how they decide which countries get it or which countries get it when.
Yeah,
But
I'm not
Canada,
sure.
like you said, it seems like I don't know why there'd be a delay there. There's whatever the
Yeah,
reason is, I'm sure there's something, but it doesn't make a lot of
yeah.
sense on the surface.
Yeah, so I'm guessing it's just releasing in theaters then. I mean, to me, if I were them, I would sell it to Netflix internationally because a lot of like Hulu's and like the Hulu's or CBS All Act, they'll sell their show or movie to Netflix for like Europe or Asia or something. So maybe they'll get some money out of this.
Yeah.
With Netflix, I'm not sure. We'll see what happens, but this topic is definitely the most interesting topic of our show today
Right.
because
Absolutely.
it really is a paradigm shift, and a lot of studios are going to take notice of how this goes because if this goes well, and HBO Max gets 10 million subscribers, 20 million subscribers, which it could, it very well could, then And if they released Tenet at the same time, I think it would be even better. Because if they do them both at the same time, a lot of people have a reason to subscribe. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I think next week we'll have to make an extra topic about theaters. But
Yeah.
why don't we move on to the next topic?
All right. This one I don't think will take up nearly as much time. Creed 2 director Stephen Caple Jr. has reportedly been chosen to direct the next Transformers film. So, take your average. Will Creed 2 was a good movie, but Transformers, in my opinion, do not have a track record for being very good movies. I liked Bumblebee, for what it was. I thought Haley Steinfeld was good. I thought it was a much funner movie. It had a much better storyline. It wasn't just jumbled robots punching each other and spinning through the air. It was good.
Yeah, I think, just real quick, I think the reason they don't have a good track record is because of Michael Bay. And I like the first and third one. I like the first and third one. I thought they were okay. They were pretty good. But the rest were utter trash. I mean, the last couple ones, I don't even remember what they were about. I fell asleep and then woke up and I'm like, what is going on? What is this? Like, I couldn't even tell what the plot was because it's just all over the place. Like, it had no real plot. It was just like, why is this robot fighting this other thing? And like, what is this? Now, Bumblebee was very different. That was so good. I actually really like Bumblebee. It was a solid movie because it actually had a story to it, and it actually had heart.
Exactly.
Like that's where, that's the problem with these movies where they're just like CGI creatures fighting each other. They have to have a heart or a story to it. That's what Bumblebee. And I'm actually
of like E.T., the extraterrestrial. It's like a coming of age story, really, where they find this, creature, form a friendship with it, have to try and keep it a secret. There's some funny moments, heartfelt moments, and it still did have the action at the end that you would expect from a Transformers movie, but the action didn't have to be over the top, in your face, over the storyline,
Yeah, Bumblebee went so small scale. I mean, comparatively to the other Transformers movies, it wasn't just the Michael Bay explosions everywhere, which works in Bad Boys or The Rock, great fun movies. But when the explosions are happening around massive robots, and it's already hard to tell who's on which side, which character is which, and you add in collapsing buildings and bombs going off, whatever it might be, you have no idea what's happening. It's just like you said, a jumbled mess.
That's like every 10 minutes too.
Yeah,
it's not just like the end. It's every 10 minutes.
Yeah, but if they go the direction of Bumblebee, or even more towards that way, even if not focused on one specific Transformer character, but not this all out robot war, basically.
Yeah.
Then I've got a little more faith in it. But on the offset, loved Creed 2, thought it was a great movie, but seeing a personal story about a boxer going to a robot movie, not really a track record to say, oh yeah, he directed this great sports movie. Sure, he can direct a big budget monster action movie. So I mean, he's a capable director, obviously. So from that standpoint, I've got faith that he can pull off something good. But given the story content, I'm not exactly jumping up and down about the news.
Yeah. I mean, I think it will be fine. I don't know what the movie will be about. It just says the next Transformer. We don't even know if it'll focus on Bumblebee or maybe just Optimus Prime. I thought they should do an Optimus Prime standalone before they do like the big transport, like a Marvel sort of thing where they do like solos and then team up. That I think might have been the best way for them to go, but we'll see what this new one is even about. We don't even know, but I I think the director makes sense. I mean, I hope I I think they mentioned the script writer. I forget who it is, but I think this will be a good choice. As long as they don't go like they over the top, like just come on, like just like you literally had like what's the name, Mark Wahlberg drinking a Coke during the middle of these explosions. Like come
Yeah,
on, and the label was turned toward the camera, so it was
Yeah.
almost like a
making
commercial.
that money.
I
Yeah,
get it. Product placements or have movies make money, but come on, it's just like and the box office has shown that people have stopped caring about the and I honestly I don't know how it stayed so high for so long. I don't.
I
But
don't.
yeah, but it definitely started to crash, and then they course corrected Bumblebee, and it was great. And I
It was
hope they I don't know if Bumblebee was a reboot necessarily, like that as a franchise, but I hope it
Mhm.
is. I hope
Yeah,
we get, we saw in that beginning. It was really cool. I mean, like the Bumblebee where Optimus Prime is fighting and trying to send Bumblebee to Earth, and that was great. That was some great stuff. I hope we see more things like that in the future. Hopefully, again, focus on the story. That's what will make
Yep.
people remember. Not just big robots. That's great. You need the big robots, but you also need a story because that's what will make it memorable. Like I don't remember any of the Transformers like movies really, except for the first and third one. Those are the ones I liked. The other ones are like I can't remember what that was about. I don't
They
remember
all
what
blend together
characters.
pretty.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
but Bumblebee was different too. Bumblebee, oh yeah, he came to Earth. It was a coming of age story. She had to hide him, and then they were coming to kill him because he had information. And like that, that was
right.
great. It wasn't a complex story, but it was good enough and heartfelt enough that you cared about it. You cared about the robots. Because that's the thing, when you have a bunch of CGI things, you have to care about the characters. So I'm hoping that this director will bring some of those sensibilities of caring about characters like in Creed 2, which is a good movie.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that will help. Uh,
So
yeah. So anyway, you want to move on to the next topic?
we can move on. So next up, John Boyega has announced he would like to play James Bond, and his ideal director to work with, he would like to be working with Steve McQueen, who of course did 12 Years a Slave, Shame, and Hunger. All great movies, but they're kind of far and away from what you think of with a James Bond movie. Um, I would be okay with John Boyega. I think he's a good actor.
Yeah, I mean, this I could talk about Bond for an entire episode myself. I mean,
I love
grew up
Bond
grew
too.
up on the
Yeah.
series. You can see maybe half of a Skyfall poster behind me there.
Yeah,
I
I see
love
it.
I love
Yep.
thinking about who's going to take over for Craig next, who's going to play him in the future, who's going to direct. But for right now, should make it clear that this is just Boyega talking. It's not.
Exactly.
There's no rumor that he's being
Right.
cast. It's just him saying, "Hey, I'd love to play this part." As would tons of people. I'd be okay with it. My personal list is probably 10 to 20 actors and actresses that I'd
Yeah.
be more than okay with seeing take on the 007 mantle. But yeah, Boyega wants to do it. I think he'd be a great choice.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think he's a good actor. I wouldn't have thought of him in my list, but now that I think about it, yeah, he could be a good Bond. I know a lot of people put out like on the comment for our news posts about him, like John Boyega's comments. People are like, no, I want this actor. I want another name that most people
Right.
throw out. What's his name? Idris Elba.
I was gonna
A
say
lot of
Idris
people.
Elba is like
He's
my
great.
number one pick. I think he would
I
be
would
amazing.
love to see that. I think Marvel kind of wasted him a little bit. I mean, he had an
Definitely.
important part, but come on, that dude is like he's great, and he would be the perfect Bond. The problem is though, that he is getting old. He is. I mean, he looks young, but you gotta they want to have a bond for like 10 years. They don't want to have a bond for like one movie. They want to have a bond for so that's why like that was the number one on my list too. But for me, it's moved down just out of like I know it's probably not gonna happen, but like I know other names that are thrown out there that I also like. Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill's name thrown out there. Tom Hiddleston. I met Tom Hiddleston. He's great. He would be an interesting choice for James Bond. I think he could pull off. He could be a more of a suave James Bond, like a Roger Moore. Where I definitely see like a Henry Cavill as more of like a Pierce Brosnan type, where he's
Yeah,
a little bit more rough and like I think that, but yeah, Idris Elba I think could be more of like a Sean Connery type. I think he could pull off like the suave and toughness that
suave and action, man. I just think he is one of
yeah
the coolest actors. He's just got
yeah
that aura to him.
He's got like
yeah
the feel. He just feels like the right
Yeah,
choice. But like you
yeah
were saying, Riley, they want someone probably a little younger. I mean,
yeah
there's a reason Lazenby is kind of the forgotten Bond. He only did one.
right
Gets a lot of
right.
disrespect. It's actually a pretty good movie.
it is
Better than
actually
people remember it being. They
yeah
think, oh, he just did one. It must not be very good. But he just didn't want to do anymore.
yeah
But they ideally want to build the franchise around Boyega or Elba or
Right.
Hiddleston,
And I
whoever it might be going forward. They want to be able to get 3 or 4 movies out of the actor.
and because Boyega is so young, that does make me think he is on their list. I because now the only thing I'll bring up is that Boyega has called out Disney, whether it's right or wrong. He's called out Disney for how his character is treated in Star Wars. And I mean, I kind of agree. I think they kind of wasted him in
yeah,
terms of pushing Ray. And I like Ray, but I think that the whole thing, and this could be a conversation in itself, but the whole thing of like, he was a stormtrooper that defected, and there could have been such great stuff there. Instead, he
yeah.
was
I mean,
just like,
character idea, really good, like
yeah,
kind of launch that didn't explore everything it should have. I don't
Mhm.
think.
yeah, and he was a good actor, I thought, and it just became like this meme in the oh Ray, just
Yeah,
like really people like this is what you came up with, or it just became like a useless side character, which is unfortunate. I don't know why because I mean, I think I know why, because in countries like China, they don't like characters in the mainstream that are of different races and things like that.
right.
That has been brought up as a reason why, like in the posters, he's not in the posters for the Chinese market. So I don't know. I don't know what the true reason was, but it is unfortunate what has happened with him and that character. I don't know if doing that will hurt his chances. I think with now it's a different studio, so I don't think that will hurt his chances really. I think if Disney was producing it, it might. But I don't know. I think he might have a good chance. I'm not gonna lie. He might have a good chance of being Bond.
And
I
if he
mean,
gets it, there will be a lot of people probably griping and complaining.
yes,
But they do that no
they do.
matter who asked. Just about all the people griping
Right.
about Robert Pattinson. We're not going to go down that because that could be a whole nother topic. But
Yes,
here's my idea: perfect choice. People are going to gripe no matter what.
yeah. Like I
Yeah.
mean, and then people when one of our admins suggested about they liked Henry Cavill, they're like, well, he already had Man from Uncle. I'm like,
Yeah,
So
You can be a spy more than once.
yeah, like
doesn't preclude you from taking another spy role.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I don't get that. Like, so what? It's like I'm a
If
bit,
anything, it adds to his
yeah,
to the credit of him that he did
Really,
it once. Yeah, he's a good choice.
movies. You can do it more than once.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
If you're good at it, you're good at it. Keep doing it.
he was in Mission Impossible too. So what? Like,
Exactly.
I loved him in Mission Impossible. I thought
Yeah,
and that's it. Like he is probably my number one choice. Like just to see those movies like that really bumped him to number one. Yeah, I mean Idris Elba. If only we just even a short film, please MGM, just a short film of even if we don't get him in a movie, just put out like a limited series on Netflix or something. Just do something with Idris Elba as Bond, please. We want to
that's
see it.
kind of an interesting concept I hadn't thought of. Now that you mention it, 007 would actually probably make a good series, like
It
a
would.
TV
It would.
series.
Now, they probably never do it because it makes too much money at the box office. But
Right.
if, theaters are not as big of a piece of the pie anymore in the future,
Yeah, I mean,
it could be
and if you're just talking, would this thing be good? Then yeah, Bond series would be, if done correctly, could be incredible.
yeah.
And then
I
obviously
mean,
there's the financial considerations. But if you're just looking at could this thing be good and entertaining and well received, then absolutely, without a question.
yeah, and I think even if they did a movie and then a series in between the movie with a different Bond. I think at first it might be a little confusing to people. Like, wait, is that the same Bond? But you know what? We already kind of accept that they're different Bonds anyway. So it's like, I think if they,
Right.
like, we have to wait like 4 years in between a Bond. If they did like a limited series season, and like
Yeah.
in the middle of in between the years we have to wait, they can really maximize the Bond property to make the most amount of money out of it because they got the movie and the series. Then they don't have to wait 4 years to make money at the box office. They can make money on streaming or on television, wherever they decide to do it. And you can also get away with a lot of stuff more on streaming versus trying to
Yeah.
keep the PG 13,
Mhm.
or Bond. Like, you could go MA or whatever on streaming versus what you can do in the movie sphere for ratings. So if they wanted to get go a little bit further with an Idris Elba Bond or some other actor who could do a limited do it. If anybody's listening to us right now, please take it to MGM. Take it to MGM. Let's start sending in tweets something. This is a good idea. But anyway, all right. Well, we should definitely do a Bond deep dive sometime though. I'm
Oh
a
yeah.
big spy fan. Like even on your wall, one of my other spy movies I like. I think is that a Winter Soldier poster back there? Yes. I love spy movie, and that's why I just love Winter Soldier because it combines like
Right.
superhero and spy stuff. It's just
Yeah,
like
spy movies are just fun.
yes,
There's a good
they
time.
are like Kingsman. Oh, I love Kingsman. I hope that they don't screw up the next one like they did the second one. The
I
second
was
one
gonna
is just like
uh,
what? But
be
I
interesting.
love, yeah,
I
I
love the
love.
first one.
Oh, I
It's
love
so
it.
much
Yeah.
fun.
That honestly is
But
like in my top 10 of all time spy movie. It's so good.
my faith isn't super high in this new one. I'll be honest. I'm excited for it, but I don't have
Yeah.
super high expectations.
I mean, it's like I don't know if I care where the origins were of the like. We
Right.
already kind of know it. Like I think like same with like the Yoda origins and the Boba Fett origin. They remember when they were like everybody was getting a movie in Star Wars.
And
Like
then
I don't
Solo
care.
happened.
Yeah, it's like I don't think people care that much about solos, or like the origin movie of something or organization. Like I don't. It just carry on with characters they had, like Eggsy
Right.
and some of those characters. But
Especially,
yeah,
it seems like odd timing to go to a prequel. Like they've done 1
Yeah.
and 2, they would do a third and finish out like a trilogy story. Now to just all of a sudden on the third movie go back and start something new seems kind of odd. But
Unless they
That's-
pivoted, after the second one was kind of not as well received, maybe they
Right.
decided to make a change at that point. They didn't have a solid
Yeah.
story set to
I think
continue
it
it.
is. I think you're right. I think the reason they pivoted is because of the second one. Because I
Yeah.
think they thought the second one was going to do so well because the first one was such a sleeper hit that I think they thought, oh, the box office and the reception is going to be so big on this next one. This is going to be huge. And I think it can be like I think the third one, if they market it right and they actually do like a good story, because that's the first one was a good story. The second was so outlandish. It was just like, you need to get back to.
I like it, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah, I watch it. Like, I watch it. I had fun with it, but I wasn't like, oh, I want to watch that again. I was like, oh, I just want to watch the first one from now on. Like, that's it. I want to watch
The first one,
like,
God, I need to rewatch that now that we're talking about it. I love
yeah,
that movie.
me too. We should. I was actually thinking about doing. Yeah,
Check
and
out.
the first one, like, and also, why did they do a spin off of the American version? Like the what was it called?
I'm blanking
They
on
had
that.
freaking Channing Tatum. Okay,
Oh, they wasted him in
they
that
did.
movie. Absolutely
They totally
wasted him.
wasted him. And it's like, why did they just do like a spin-off of that with Channing Tatum and Halle Berry and those characters? Like, they could have done that, and it would have. I think it could have done more than. But who knows? We'll see. Well, here's what my hope is. We got way off topic, but here's my hope with the prequel is that the prequel has some tie to present day. Like, for example, there's some like thing that at like maybe a post credit scene or something, the story somehow leads to a third one.
Right.
I don't know.
Mhm.
That's just wishful thinking, but that's just wishful thinking. But
It's not out of the question.
yeah,
Absolutely not.
I mean, at least because then it
Would
would
make
actually make sense why they did it.
Yeah.
Then it makes sense why they. Otherwise, like I'm excited. I'll see it. I'm excited to see it, but I'm not like, oh, I got to see it. Whereas like Kingsman 2, I couldn't wait. I mean, I was just like, oh, I need more Kingsman. Then I was like,
We had a good
so
trailer. It
they
looked
did.
good.
Yeah, it was. It was a good trailer, but you know, that's another one that could be a good series, though. That's another one that could be. I mean, almost anything, I guess, could be a series, but you know, that's another one that might benefit from a limited series on Netflix, because then you can really go outrageous with some of the things. Like even with the R rating, they are only limited so far. Like, yeah, they did with the heads exploding. That was close. That was close to like they're probably being told, hey, that's like the limit here. But yeah, it was like but like that was a cool scene at the end of the first one. But anyway, we'll talk about more spy stuff later. But what's the next topic we have?
We got just a few more. The next one is Wonder Girl series is in development at the CW. I don't have a lot to say on this one because I'm not personally a big fan of the CW series. I've tried watching The Flash. I just can't really get into them. I think they're a little cheesy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like some of the CW stuff.
So good for them.
Yeah,
but
the fan base is huge, and they're dedicated and loyal.
They are. Yeah.
I liked Arrow. Arrow was good.
Oh, I loved Arrow. Yeah.
But I watched the first few seasons of The Flash, and then it just kind of felt so repetitive. Supergirl was whatever. The Legends of Tomorrow was good for a season, and then I wasn't that much a fan. So I'm guessing I'll watch this. I'll at least give the first few episodes a try. But yeah, like you said, doesn't really move the needle too much for me.
We said they got a fan base, people watch it, so
Yeah.
good
I
for
mean,
them.
I
Yeah.
keep up with it just because of FandomWire and like and stuff, and it's okay. I mean, there are a lot. The biggest problem with these shows are the filler episodes. That's honestly the biggest problem. Like if you shortened the season to like 12 episodes, it would be so much better. Like I think
Right.
like the Flash this last season was just so. Oh my gosh, it was irritating.
Yeah, the
It,
20
and,
plus episodes don't
and
really
I
fit
love
for the stories they're telling.
and they couldn't even finish it because of COVID. And I was
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah,
this is so frustrating.
it's got to
And
tighten
I
them up a little bit.
and I love the fact like that's the one show that's like I always like am loyal to. I love the Flash. Like when it first came out, like I didn't see it till it came on Netflix. Man, I binged that so quickly. Like that first season was just, and that's what I usually find is like the first couple of seasons for these shows are like stellar, and then they just drop off. Like Arrow season 1 and 2, like that's a top tier quality entertainment right there. Arrow season 1 and 2 was like
Yeah.
so good. Like so him, what really drove the show was him in that book of the names. That's what drove the show. And without that, I feel like it lost its focus. But like after like season 3 and on, it dropped off. Now this last couple of seasons were better. Like of the Arrow, they were better. Like season 7 and 8 were good. They're actually good again, finally. But like like even when people were like, "Oh, season 5 it got great again," I was like, "Really?" Because I watched season. I just thought, "What is this? Like, what are people talking about?" I did not find see even, and I love the characters. Like I liked it, but they just got it, you're right, got too repetitive, or they tried to make these ridiculous decisions with the characters, like with Flash. Um, like after I even liked season 3, but
Yeah.
season 4 was just like, okay, I like this is enough. Like the whole thing about they every season they have a debate on do we kill the supervillains or not kill the supervillains. It's like
Right.
if you have to kill them, you have to kill like Arrow. What frustrated me the most, again we're getting off topic, but what frustrated me the most with Arrow was that he swore not to kill people, but that you see him put like arrows in people's chests, and like they're dead, they're dead, and
Yeah.
like and then he'd be like, "No, we don't kill people," and then you
He's aiming
literally,
man. All right. He's
and then
missing all the vital organs.
yeah, and then like literally, Diggle has a gun and is shooting people in the head. Like
Yeah.
he's shooting people in the head with a gun. It's like
Yeah, he had a pretty
I
big body count by the end of the
it's
series.
yeah, it's very contradictory in terms of like them like even the Flash, like dude, when you're running and you're hitting people, they're dead. Like and they show them not getting up. Like they don't say they're dead, but come on, they're dead. I mean like so
I
same
mean,
with
we've
like
seen that in the book. Speedsters hit people. It doesn't go well.
right, like and
Not at
even
all.
like Supergirl, like oh we don't kill, but that's why I actually like the Slayer version back to Slayer. I actually like Slayer's version of Batman because I don't mind that he kills because honestly it's the most realistic. If you're a
And yeah,
Batman, like I mean sure you don't try to kill people, but when you're a like terrorist shooting it, you kill them. Like
yeah.
it's self defense at that point. Like
Hmm.
so
I mean,
you
Batman in
know
pretty much all of previous movies killed people too. They
Right,
just,
exactly.
expect it.
Right, it's like same with like Superman killing Zod. I never understand why people like. I understand not liking it, but what else was he gonna do? I mean, what were
Yeah,
you gonna do with him? What are you gonna do with Zod? Yeah, throw him in jail? I mean, you had
kryptonite.
to kill him. Yeah, you said he was gonna kill the entire human race if he didn't do
Right.
it. So that's where it's like Arrow gets a little like preachy, not just in the killing stuff, but like I know a lot of people get tired of some of the what you want to call it, SJW stuff or whatever you want to call it. It's like I don't some of that I don't mind, but there are points where it's like okay, like we get it, just we get it,
Yeah.
we get it,
Just tell us
like.
to move
Yeah,
on.
it's like I don't care that Batwoman is Batwoman. I don't care if she's a woman or is a
Yeah.
lesbian. I don't care. Like that's
Exactly.
cool. That's cool. I don't care. Just but don't like like they actually have like speeches and Barry does this too. Like it's not just like that the actually no, I'm talking about like the killing stuff or the stuff like dude, this is a TV show. We don't need to hear Barry get up and give a speech about how, everybody needs second chances. And it's like, yeah, I agree with that. But I don't want to see a speech about it. I want to see him fight, a supervillain or push the
Exactly.
plot
Right.
forward. Push it forward. I don't want monologues. Because that's basically what they get on these little monologues. I'm hoping that they're going to be a little different. Like Wonder Girl, now we're coming back to Wonder Girl. I don't know much about Wonder Girl. I'm going
Yeah.
to try it. I don't know much. All I know is it's not the Donna Troy version from like Titans. That's the only experience I really have with Wonder Girl. I don't really know much about her. I didn't read any of her comics or anything, so the only one I know of is from Titans, the show.
Mm.
And apparently it's not that version, and it's not even Donna Troy. So it's a Hispanic or Latina girl. I forget what the description was, but basically we think on the show notes it had some like she discovers her powers and is trying to defeat some like Brazilian like cult or something. It's really strange, but I don't know if you have it there,
Yeah.
but it is kind of like what? Like I'm trying to understand what
You
that
want me to read
means.
it real quick? It says the DC series will follow Yara Flor, Latina dreamer who was born of an Amazonian warrior and Brazilian river god, who learns that she is Wonder Girl. With her newfound power, she must fight evil forces that would seek to destroy the world.
So that's obviously like a departure. I'm guessing is not Themyscira. I'm guessing she's not from Themyscira. So I don't know how like I'm not sure how that's gonna work. And like I don't know anything about this character. I barely know anything about Donna Troy. But the most I know about Donna Troy is she's like Wonder Woman's sidekick, or at least from the
Right.
comics, and she's Themyscira. So I don't know what to think of this. Matt, do you have any thoughts on this?
Nothing more than what I was saying. It's like we've all said, we don't really know too much about the character, just in our experiences. So I'll wait for the first footage, trailers to come out, and I'm sure I'll give the pilot a shot, and
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be decent. But
Yeah,
not holding up, high hopes for this one. But if it's
yeah.
fun, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, and I think it's also, and like I said before, usually with the CW shows, the first season or two is pretty good, and then it declines. So I'm hopeful that this will be pretty good. Another one that I actually really liked, which was already kind of legacy, even though it was on DC Universe, which I guess is now just comics, but Stargirl, which I was actually very pleasantly surprised with. I like Stargirl. It was very cheesy, and there were tropes, but it had a lot of
Yeah.
charm, and it was actually pretty good. I thought compared to like some of the other shows. I don't know if she'll ever cross over with the other characters. I know she was supposed to appear in the what was the crossover? Crisis on Infinite Earth. She was supposed to appear on there, but that was cut for some reason. I forget why that was cut, but she was supposed to appear on there. That could have been interesting, but yeah, I don't know whether Wonder Girl is in Earth One or what. And that's the other thing that I think is tough is the continuity because like I don't like with the Crisis on Infinite Earths that I thought they combined all the universes, right? I don't know if you guys watch it, but that was my thoughts. They combined all the universes, and that now it's just Earth One, right? And Supergirl, and everybody's on Earth One, right? Well, then they show at the end of that episode where they just say everything is combined. They show, oh, well, here's an Earth with the Kingdom Come Superman. Here's an Earth with Titans. Here's I'm like, I don't understand what that was all for then. Like, that's where I like, I don't understand what that was for then because and like the continuity, like, you gotta pick. Like, is there one Earth, or is there like I get why they have multiple Earths for storytelling purposes, so they don't contradict other things. But like, if you're gonna combine all the Earths. Uh,
Right.
and
Mhm.
so I don't know. I think it could be good. I hope they actually do it on Earth One though. Like I prefer like that way I know like who's there and who's not there. Like with Titans, I don't know who's there. Like what other heroes at. They mentioned Superman, but like is he there? Like we never see it. We never really like hear about
Right.
like and like I liked the Black Lightning because that was one of the shows I actually really liked was Black Lightning, and I did an interview with Cress Williams. I met the whole cast a while back, but great show. And so I was glad that they put them on the same in the same universe because I'm like, okay, great. You know, him and Flash, and now they got Justice League. They had that last scene that I actually really liked where they had basically the whole Justice there, and they had so that was cool. I
Yeah.
just hope they, you know, do this well. I don't know how they're gonna handle like this Brazilian weird stuff with the cult or
Yeah.
what. I don't know what that is, but we'll see. I have some hope. I have some hope. I think if it was Donna Troy, because I think it would have done better. Because when we posted the news, we got a lot of comments like, "Why isn't this Donna Troy? This better
Yeah.
be Donna Troy." Like I don't think people get like people don't understand. It's like if you said, "Well, Wonder Woman is going to be a different character." Like I think it's kind of like the Peter Parker, even though Miles Morales has like gotten bigger. Like you ask people who's Spider-Man, oh, it's Peter Parker or Batman,
Right.
Bruce Wayne. So I think that is going to confuse some people. But anyway, we got to finish up here. But let's get on the next topics and try to speed
These
through
next two,
these.
there's a whole lot to say on this one, but this is actually, I think, the news I'm most excited about that we got here. The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. It's essentially a recut of the third Godfather film, which is unanimously considered the weakest. Right? And I think it gets more hate than it deserves. It's still a good mob movie. It's just it's following two masterpieces, The Godfather Part One and Part Two. But here's what Francis Ford Coppola actually had to say on it. He said that this new cut provides an entirely new experience. I created a new beginning and ending. the picture has been given new life. So he says that it's going to be like a whole new movie, really, with this new cut.
That's exciting. And I have to say, like, even the third one, which is it's really not that bad. It's just
Exactly.
the
It
fact
gets a
that
lot of undue hate.
yeah,
The Godfather 2 was so great. And then, this was kind of just a middle of the line mob movie. If this wasn't a Godfather movie, if this movie came out and was just
right.
its own story, people would have liked it.
And
Yeah,
I
but
think
it's following two of the best movies ever made.
and
Yeah.
to circle back to Bond, I think that's like the George Lazenby movie. I think if it was just a regular spy movie, it wouldn't have got as much. It would have got a little bit more love. That's probably the same thing here. I'm interested to know like how they're making this whole. Did they reshoot? I don't know much about it. Did they reshoot stuff or like
I
what?
think they had a lot of footage that got cut, and so they're moving things around. And
So they
Francis
had
Ford
like
Coppola's
two
Apocalypse Now movie,
versions.
there was like 4 different cuts of that. It's
Oh
something he does from. There's 4 different Apocalypse Nows. Like the Snyder
wow!
cut's not. It's getting so much. Attention, and people are like, "Oh, the director's finally getting his vision," but it's been
Right.
done before. Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. There are 7 different cuts to that. 7
That's
director's cut,
crazy.
extended cut, and they changed the story pretty significantly too. And some of them, Ford's character is a Blade Runner, or he is a replicant. I mean, he's a cyborg, and some of them he's not. They change it up.
Wow, that's awesome.
So
I
this
didn't know that.
a whole
That's
new
awesome.
story, much better, and I'm excited. It hits theaters, a limited theatrical release December 4th, and then they're releasing it on Blu-ray and digital December 8th, and I will definitely be picking up a Blu-ray of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited to give that one a shot when it comes out. Like you said, I like the third one, but
Mm-hmm.
it's fine. The first, I mean, I still think the part one is the single greatest movie ever made, and then part two is also one of the best movies of all time.
Right.
And so to see the third one, it's hard to expect them to go kind of 3 for 3 at that level. But if they can make even a slight improvement, I think it's a win.
Absolutely. So
Yeah. I
definitely
mean
be.
it. Yeah. Is it coming out? What is it? Streaming or what?
Now it's going to
Blu-ray?
get digital, probably rentals and purchases, I'm guessing at first, and
Okay.
then a Blu-ray release, and that's December 8th.
Okay.
I'm
Have to
not sure where
do.
it's going to go after that. That's just what it said in the trailer itself. The trailer they released this week.
What we
Um,
should do a review of that. That sounds like it could be fun. We should
and
do
I
a
actually
review.
just watched the third one because I bought a Blu-ray box set that came with digital of the whole trilogy, like
Oh,
much
nice.
thing. So I watched that whole thing pretty recently. So I'll probably have a good comparison to this one.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in years, so it'll maybe I'll have to brush up on the older version. But yeah, one thing I want to point out is it's unfortunate that most movies can't have like 4 or 7 cuts nowadays because their budgets or the studios are more it's a lot more expensive to make a movie, whereas you could do that with Blade Runner or Godfather
Right.
3. So at any rate, all right, let's move on to our final topic, and we'll try to get
Final
to
thing,
questions, but all right.
Scream 5 that they wrapped filming. They finished filming this week. They put out a couple of set photos, and they released the title, which has some fans a little confused because it is a sequel, but it's just titled Scream. No number 5 after it. So,
That's stupid.
but it is a sequel following directly after the first 4 movies. This will be the first one Wes Craven hasn't directed because, of course, he passed away in 2015. And Scream 4 was his last movie. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes without Wes Craven involved.
That is interesting. I mean, I liked some of the Scream movies. They're okay. I'm not a huge fan, but I'm not a big horror fan. I know it's a comedy, but I'm not like you, even a really big horror fan. But also
Yeah,
here here I'll bring up the pictures too. But basically, like why are they why are they just calling it Scream 5? Like that
Yeah, I
to
don't.
me, that's a
I don't know.
mistake. That's a
Yeah, because it's
mistake.
But
not
they
even
did it
like
with Halloween as well. Halloween 2018 is a sequel to the original. It's not a
well,
reboot
Yeah,
or a remake.
the
Halloween.
Halloween timeline has just been so just cut and re-put back together and demolished and
yeah,
recreated.
Yeah.
That whole thing is just a mess. This one is just a straight sequel. Just put a 5
Right.
on it. I don't
yeah,
see
yeah. Like
what the point is.
I don't like same with like video games. What like they did like Need for Speed, where they went back to just it was a few years ago, but when they came out with the sequel, they just called it Need for Speed. Well, now I have to specify what I'm saying. Need for
Yeah.
Speed, what year it
I mean,
is.
the S a 5 or something. They could have worked the
Right,
number in
right.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
But
not hard.
they same with like what was the movie Ghostbusters. The same with
right.
that. It's like like at least this next one is called Ghostbusters Afterlife. Like
Hmm.
instead of like trying to do what they did in 2016 was like just Ghostbusters. And that now we have to specify. I
Yeah.
mean most people don't talk about the 2016 Ghostbusters for good
That's
reason, but now we have to specify, and I don't like that. It's like it's a sequel. Just make it like that. That's like if when they reboot Iron Man in 20 years, they'll be like, we're just gonna call it Iron Man. It's like
right.
no, just call it something like Iron Man New something, or give it a subtitle. Anything. Just like even if they didn't want the number in this, you know,
Yeah, they could
give
put a
it give
little, on there.
right now with the photos there isn't they don't show a whole lot. Obviously they're just like set photos. But
Yeah, they're showing that Nev Campbell and Courtney Cox returning. Obviously, they've been
which
in
is
all four
great.
of his movies.
Which is great. I'm a big Friends fan, so
Yeah,
I'm excited about that. I wish they would do like a true Friends like reunion, like not like a where they just sit around talk. I mean like a real like a in continuity Friends reunion, but that's a whole
Mhm.
other
doing
discussion.
one for HBO.
Yeah, they're doing it's basically like the one that we had with which I haven't seen yet, but I heard about it. Uh with the Fresh Prince, where it's basically just like them sitting around and talking about the
Oh,
show. Not
Yeah,
like
like
they're not in character at all. It's just
which
them kind
I
of
think
hanging
is
out talking,
kind of a
which is
cop
it's
out.
interesting. It could be fun,
Yeah.
but I'd rather
Like
have the full.
I
If
heard
they're
that
gonna do it, I'd prefer them just to leave it alone, to be honest. But if they're gonna
yeah,
do any sort of reunion, give us a
do it
1 hour special of an episode,
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
I thought it worked.
yeah. Like they even with the Parks and Rec, they did it in character. They did it in
Right,
character. Like that's why I prefer when they do it in
definitely.
character. Like I don't want just say although I heard the Fresh Prince one is very good and emotional and stuff, but yeah, I want in character. That's my preference. But anyway, why don't we do we went way over time, but the good discussion. So I want to get just a couple live viewer questions presented by YMP. They do social media marketing stuff, and they've helped us out before. So go check out their site. I think it's ymp.me. So that if you're into that kind of thing. Anyway, got a couple of things here. I've got one from Tim Brown. He said, "When 2 hour," I think he's referencing CW. "Would 2 hour movies once a week, rotating heroes, be a better way to go?" It could. I don't think they necessarily need to do it like that. I think like I said, the best way that I perceive is just having like a shorter season and just doing it like that. Like have the Flash be the first part of the TV season. So start it in the fall and then end it in the middle of the winter and have another like have it lead into like Supergirl and have Supergirl be like take those other 12 episodes that would have been the Flash and just take. So that's the way I would do it. But what do you guys think?
I think 2 hour movies weekly would be a lot to handle. I like it in
Yeah,
concept, but in
Yeah.
execution it'd be difficult to pull off. But I think what you're saying is shorten the seasons by, if not all the way in half, by a handful of episodes, 12 to 15, maybe 18 episodes. And what I think the CW has a problem with, when there's 4, 5, 6 shows on at the same time that are all
yeah,
so interconnected, no one wants to spend, not many people want to spend 6 hours a week watching
Right.
the so many things that you kind of have to watch to get the
especially
full picture. But if you, like you said, they split them up throughout the year, it becomes a lot more manageable.
yeah, and it's the same with like I just for doing all this have tried to keep up with everything. It's like I wanted to stop watching Batwoman because it was just so getting so repetitive with what's the character the villain I don't even remember
I don't even watch.
I didn't watch that one.
Alice yeah don't bother no I mean there actually are some good concepts and I'm interested to see what they do with the upcoming season now that they're not down that Ruby Rose is gone and that's a whole nother topic but I'm interested to see what they do and hopefully they'll fix some of the problems but it is frustrating having to watch so many uh like episodes but anyway we'll do one more before we go Lori Rose says right now a lot of kids are into Star Trek and Doctor Who, and Netflix movies are very popular now. I'm not sure what I thought she was referencing, like doing it more. Like I think we were talking about Bond and streaming. Is that what she's talking about? I think that's what she's talking. Anyway,
I'm not
uh,
sure where that one came in.
I'm not sure which. Yeah, I'm not sure. Sorry, I don't know where that was coming in, but Netflix movies are getting more popular. Though I will actually say that probably because everybody's at home, but they are getting like there are some that are getting better. But the problem is for every what's the last one that came the guard something. What
The
is
Old
it?
Guard.
Yeah, for every one of those, you get Billy Bob's, whatever, like the random movie that is like a C movie, and nobody wants to see it. Like for every one of those, you get 10 of those. That's that's my problem with Netflix and potentially the future of streaming. But yeah, I don't think there's any more. Do you have any thoughts on that or anything you want to add?
They're hit or miss. They are getting bigger budgets. They're getting more put into them. But a
They're
lot of
getting
the movies
better.
that come out, a lot of them that are coming out that are Netflix movies aren't even. Some of them are just movies that
Yeah,
Netflix has picked. The streaming rights
right.
for and come out.
Like I definitely think the streaming is definitely. I do have a little bit of hope for like blockbuster. Like I think Netflix got. I think they're doing a series, but they picked up Narnia, the rights to Narnia, and
Uh,
Amazon has Lord of the Rings. So there's gonna
right,
be some big budget stuff coming up that I am hopeful for. But
right.
anyway, all right, guys. That'll do it today. Thanks for tuning in to our first episode. We're gonna try to do this weekly. We were gonna shoot for a half hour, but we obviously went way over that. We'll have to. But maybe an hour. We'll just have to do. Next for future episodes. But anyway. thanks for joining us. We had those some really great topics. The week before, as we were preparing, I was like, I don't know if we're gonna have enough topics to cover, but we had some great topics this week. It helped with some of the trailer drops and things like that. But uh, yeah. So Josh, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Mr. Movie Guy 86.
And Matt, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Matt Hambidge.
And you can find me on the various social media networks just at Riley B. Johnson. And of course, FandomWire.com. That's our website. We are going to be putting this on audio versions later. So probably the next episode we'll be able to plug those. But for now, you can just subscribe, like our page and click get notifications on our Facebook page. That way you never miss a news update or a funny meme or another episode or a podcast. But anyway, well, that'll do it today for FandomWire Inside Fandom. We hope you enjoyed it, and thank you. And we'll see you next week at same day, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. All right. See you later, guys.
Thanks, guys.